We're alive.
All right. Hi, everybody. This is Painting Platinum number 41. Let me fix my camera. I've set up a little weird. Okay. So, big screen in it. If you'll bear with me just a moment, I'm going to get chat up. Busy week, of course. We finished our ReaperCon Part 2 colors. So those will be ready for Black Friday, and worked on our special holiday stuff that's coming up. So let's see.
Have I told you, by the way, how much I love this time of year?
Really?
Love it. I love fall. Really, because fall in Texas, when the temperature starts to get just right and the leaves have turned, it is gorgeous. It's only about like 2 weeks each year, but you know.
Hi, Chewy Boots and Rings Raccoon. Um, yeah, you get your Ugg boots, tuck your leggings in. Am I right?
Yes, I love those
I
things.
think that's from. I think I'm dating myself. Thanks, Graz Yeti. Graz Yeti, I haven't forgotten about that sample you sent me. We've just been so wildly busy. It's almost lost all meaning. Hi, Mo Brock. Let me go to my little camera. I've got a little bit of a mess here, but that's okay. So my palette cam. Um, I was telling Justin, thanks, Loborowski. Um, I got here early today, and I was like, well, I'm here early. I might as well handle some business. And then I started running late. Sorry. It's awful. Bad stream. Okay. So, we're still working on the Phoenix. Last time we started the Blue Flame, you'll remember that if you watched this before, um, I went back and forth on whether I wanted Yellow Flame or Blue Flame. So, um, yeah. Hi, Crispy's Live. Hi, Substorm. Uh, Someone asked on the Facebook page, says Substorm, about what would be a replacement for Pro Paint 8044 Slate. I don't know off the top of my head, but I'll have to check. Ed actually mentioned Slate um, recently. Hi, Vultures Minis. Where are you? We're in Texas. I'm sure you know that. We're in Denton, Texas, and it is 3 o'clock. Hi, Aishan Loki. I guess it's evening here. It's afternoon, evening. Um, so yeah, I decided I didn't paint my nails. Don't look at them, but I decided to do the blue flames. Thanks, Dr. Bob. Thank you. Hi, Thin
What
Red
is our
Line.
what is our giveaway today,
God
Miss
of Myth.
Sadie?
Oh, God of Myth got a gift sub. So congrats. Oh, that was me asking about Slate. I'm watching from Germany. Oh, I love that. Um, so Rings Raccoon is asking the magic question about the paint that is I don't even know what we're calling it. Inactive. I don't know yet how exactly that's going to work and what all is in that. I know that I don't know all the numbers yet, but I do know that Ed is going to make a statement and he's going to explain it a little bit. He's been thinking about it a lot. I've been thinking about it a lot. I know it. But I did get permission to give people like little mix formulas, like one drop this, one drop that. So what we might do is maybe even for a whole episode, we might be like I know one that people are really sad about that's not on the website right now is 9073. I was looking last night. It's so easy to do. And um it's not ideal. You can't just buy the bottle like whenever you want, but it is a way to get to it. Chestnut gold, yeah. So I'm gonna look at all those. I'm gonna see kind of what we can do. But rest assured, especially um, if you watch Anne, she mixes a lot of colors. It's not the end of the world. I know it feels like it. So anyway, it'll buff out. I've said that 16 times this week. It'll buff out. It'll buff out. But what it's going to do is it's going to allow us to have space. I was telling Cindy today, okay, so we have distribution orders. I'm going to start getting stuff together. We have distribution orders and they get paints in multiples of 6. And we used to have a space where we'd keep 6 packs of paint. It was a lot easier. It was really nice. But we ran out of space for it. So I told Cindy, I was like, man, when we get a little space back, I'm going to beg for that because it was so efficient. It was so nice. Okay, so we'll tease it, but really soon we will have an episode where we talk about getting to that with other colors. Okay, Dr. Bob, I don't know about that. Here's the thing about Reaper, and probably if we're being honest about dropped a brush, every company is that really until it happens. Let's just go even further about any situation. Until it happens, you don't really know what it is. So we'll see. I've actually been told that eventually we're all going to move over to the new building. And then I started having childish thoughts like, am I going to have an office? Do I get a window? And then I realized I probably shouldn't ask right now because everybody's stressed out. I'll get to it though. But the childish part of me is like, I got to tell them I need an office with a window before they move us, before they put everybody everywhere. Um, so my plants have a happy space because, yeah, because I have lots of plants. Um, Thank you, Samurai Jack. Uh, yeah. And like, okay, so here's the other thing. So, now that my grandparents have changed addresses, I'm going to be moving off a property that I've lived at, you know, most of the 31 years of my life. So my office has become like a lot of things. I'm like, oh, I'll just take that to my office. I'll just take that to my office. It's about to get really full. I just haven't justified the time to put things on the walls. Anyway, enough about all that. But yeah, I have become really attached to this office. How do you sub to the channel, by the way, Justin?
You can do that depending on, although it looks like you have a sub there.
Thank you, Sky's Clear.
Thin red line. If you're on the PC, you can do it in the bottom right, I believe, where it says, in your case, it'll say gift a sub because you already have a subscription, but you can set up a sub that way as well. When you hover over, if you're on the mobile, it's a little more complicated, unfortunately.
Thanks,
It's,
Graz Yeti.
Thank you, Graziati. It also costs more. So I would actually advise next time you have a chance, if you would like to, use the website. Okay. So let me see here.
So you let us know how many subs we have, and I'll show you what we're giving away today.
We
Um,
have currently 12 subs, so we're good to go. So, in fact, I believe the giveaway is already open. But the exact location of the subscribe button is to the bottom right of the window that you're watching, the actual player. You should see a follow and then a subscribe right next to it.
so these are the newest available clears: clear orange, clear phthalo blue, or clear phthalo green, clear phthalo blue. Of course, ask anything you'd like. So, um, family owned. Well, yeah, because the brothers own it. So Ed and Dave Pugh own it. Our company was started out of a garage in '92. I think, right?
I don't remember the exact year, but yeah, roughly.
On the 4th of July. Thanks, Margaret. Um, we do hire people. I'll tell you right now, the brothers Pugh, the biggest thing right now is that we're really careful about who we hire and we kind of vet them to make sure that they're not like in Denton, I know people that are going to bars and we take it really seriously here. The virus, we don't want it. We don't want anybody to have it. Um, it's super serious. So the biggest thing about working here right now is you've got to um, where are they located in the building or in a kit? They will be. There are some in paint department in by the coffee pot to the left of the coffee pot in the building. Other than that, there's I think it's in kit shop, and it will be in the what will it be in the ReaperCon commemorative set 2. So yeah. And then, okay, so this will become really helpful. Here I am talking for a really long time and not getting anything done, which is whatever. But these are going to be really helpful when it comes to mixing colors because what these are for, yeah, they're not out yet. Because Phthalo is a blue. We'll have to talk about pigments one day too. I love pigments. I think it's so fascinating, and I don't even know that uh, much about it. So yeah, about normal for this show. Uh, I'm always gonna do things different, and then I don't. We got a little hype train. I don't think I mentioned the hype train. I better do it. Also, I'm gonna wear this tonight. Reaper Harley and Dave got me this shirt. It's got a kitty, and he says, "Pew pew, motherfuckers, MFers." It's gonna be on Black Friday because I always say pew pew, but I was not the originator of the pew pew. It was either, as far as I know, it was either John Overton or Paul. Trying to think. These were ReaperCon colors, yes. Um, as you're probably all aware, the clear brights are good for layering. I've seen some like really pretty jewel type effects, and also for changing the color of paints, like for mixing. They're really pure. What makes them a clear is that they're really pure. So it's like one or two pigments. These are all I think these are all single pigment. I know these two are at least. These are single pigment. So when you hear somebody say clear, what it means is there's not just a little bit of black or a little bit of white. Reason being, that will take something ashy. So a good example of this is I used a yellow as a highlight for Ebony Flesh, and the yellow happened to have, oh, I don't know what it had, what the situation was, but anyway, it went green. So, so that's something that's cool about that. And as you know, you only need a certain number of colors to mix everything. I think it's a black, a white, a nice brown. Then I think it's like, I'm trying to think. You need you need red, yellow, and blue, but specifically you want like the warm blue or the warm yellow. I think you want a warm and cool of both. I don't think you have to have a warm and cool of both, but yeah. Um, yes, new to general release, absolutely. And then when I say newest that are in newest in production because the Kickstarter has clears. Anyway, we'll get started. We'll act like we're working. Let me see. So, and I don't remember what kind of ratios I used to make this fire, But that's okay because it's fire. Somebody asked if there were streaks. I think I just painted one color and then painted another over it. Like I didn't like it. Let me get my readers. Oh, we have a Monday release too. Yeah, I should take notes. What I will do in the future, what I would like to do, what I intend to do in the future, is to have a plan, almost like Rhonda's, the Learn to Paint Kit notes. Um, yeah, like it looks like there's layers to the paint, like giving it extra texture instead of just one color. Yeah, to wait until October 12th when my credit cycle ends, save a goodie bag for me. You'll be fine, Sarducci. Um, the cool thing about paint, and I'm sure a lot of people would just be really upset if they heard me say this, you can make small batches of paint. We don't burn these formulas. So don't ever feel like if you don't get something, it'll never happen again. You know, like there's always a chance. And a good chance because we're pretty cool. I don't want to tell people to like start asking for a bunch of stuff, but we're like, if I do say so myself, we're pretty cool. We try to be really good to our people. Margaret, you want the clears or the Halloween colors, the brains and the hallowed orange? The hallowed orange is pretty special because we didn't have the formula for it before. So Rhonda sent hers in. Now, it's not precisely exactly the same, but it's pretty close. I saved a couple swatches so I could get it just a little closer. I'm also a little bit more, I'm really anal about that. That's been the hardest thing for me to accept about mixing paint. Much like when I did hair, when I learned hair, one of my teachers said, well, you're never going to do the same haircut twice. It's impossible. And I mean, obviously, right? You have all these hairs. It's going to be a little different. But it just about made me sick, because I don't know. What have I been hearing lately? What's really been entering the I don't know, the zeitgeist for me is don't let perfect be the death of the good. Don't sacrifice good for the... Somebody'll know it. Y'all help me.
My personal favorite that's very similar to that is progress, not perfection.
Yes. You know what my favorite is? Not related to that. Everything in moderation, including moderation. Can y'all hear Justin well? I forgot to check my levels. It didn't do it today. Okay, good. No, somebody's not next to me. So ever since the shutdown, I have been using my office as my streaming area. No, I forgot the paint I need. I've been using my office as my streaming area, and my office is attached to paint department. So you are hearing the preparation of paint or the cleaning of hoses. I'm gonna have a little coffee and then I'm gonna grab my paints. I did a big organizational push and I messed myself up. Oh, I didn't even put those in here. Where did I put those? Oh, where is it? I might just not have it.
Thanks, Rings. And actually, yeah, I did. I Yeah, the microphone I'm using is high quality microphone that I have at home. So
Bragging.
I mean, when you know what you're doing.
Bragger. Okay, I'm gonna move these. I made myself.
Hashtag semi-professional.
Yeah, hashtag semi-professional. Howdy, Dave Dwyer.
Also, if you guys tuned in a little later, don't forget hashtag free because the giveaway is open
Yeah,
as of
giveaway's
right now.
open.
Let me check the number we're actually giving away at this point.
You know, it'd be real professional if I did, if I had a little picture ready so it could like pop up in the corner. Like, boop, giveaway. Yeah, clear Thalos. So I used the Phoenix Red 9005 to just touch up any little spots on here. One thing I'm doing that I shouldn't be doing is I'm touching this mini a lot. Sorry, I moved that.
We're at 25, by the way, so 5 giveaways right now. That's
Wow.
the most in a while. So good job, guys. That's really cool.
And last time I put a little extra in. I think we only gave away one last time. So I put a little extra in because we did other colors for yeah. Well, I have a mini handle of sorts, but it's just awkward. Rings Raccoon, it's the Thalos. So Rings Raccoon, didn't you get the whole every paint and production? It didn't include this, I know, but oh, you can't even see that. 605, 606, and 607. Clear Thalos and clear orange. That's awesome. It included the Thalos? What? Lucky. I made a sample. I call it spooky purple, but it's like a gray purple. I know not everybody likes muted, but it's a grayed out purple, almost similar. I make a lot of samples that end up like drown opal pink, so it might be another not drown opal pink. I'm gonna use, okay, so I don't have Ghost Fire, so I'm gonna use Alchemical Green. The 89516 is the Pathfinder color. We have a Pathfinder event going on, right? Like a I'm trying to think. Like the I'm not gonna remember the name. I feel like somebody's grandma. I'm like, you know, the mismatch quadrant paint challenge.
It's the Pathfinder. If John is still in here, I believe he's the one who made the announcement. It's the Pathfinder Paint Challenge, I believe.
Pathfinder paint challenge. But I think it was something else. I think it was the color clash. Color clash, right? So alchemical green is pretty similar. I would have somebody get me that ghost fire, but they would have to dig through buckets. So guys, I got nervous a few days ago, and when I get nervous, I go like crazy, and I cleaned the mixing bar, the little color bar, because it gets, as you would imagine, it gets so messy. So I cleaned it, and I cleaned the racks. Also, if anybody has any tips on cleaning wire racks as far as like dust, it's so hard to get into the nooks and crannies. I used the sprayer and simple green, and I let them dry overnight, and they were like still dusty. I don't know. So then I got all these brushes. I was just going crazy, and then whatever. So long story short, I have most all of the paint that goes on the rack for me to match in tubs and not back on the rack yet because I started this project. When did I start this? I started you know what I did? I ran out of time for the week. So that's what I did so I could still be up here with the people. And so anyway, I ran out of time. And I just was like, well, I'll be up here and I'll clean. And then stuff actually needed to be done. Like, stuff started coming up urgent. So that's what happened there. So the mixing area is not fully stocked. So even if I told somebody, "Hey, go get me some Ghost Fire," I don't know that they would be able to find it. Sorry. I've had to delegate to people, and it's an uncomfortable position for me. I don't like to tell people what to do, but I've been working with my department. I've got 3 solid people, and having to just delegate and ask them what they think. I'm so glad you like Ghostfire. Um, I worked on Ghostfire for so long. I think it was driving Ed crazy. But that was before I developed my super neat conversion sheet where I convert all of the instead of formulating in 1 gallon, I can formulate in 4 ounces, so it's not as wasteful. Okay, that's a little too watery for what I was trying to do. I think I want a dry brush. I think that's what I want to do. Oh yeah, paper towels. That's what I needed. And I've moved everything. Do y'all ever just like make yourself so mad? I move everything all the time. And I'm trying to get more efficient because it's really hard to get everything done here without going into overtime. And I'm like, if I told myself this week, I was like, if I weren't walking around losing everything all the time, I wouldn't have to do this as much. So I'm really going to try and find a place for everything right in time for us to expand. But I'd like for us to open up and have this place look more like a lab than a zoo. That's my sincerest hope. So, I'm trying to think. When you guys dry brush, do you water the paint down and then just dry your brush, or do you use it thick? I think you dilute it still. Uh, Oval Farah, I find one thing, move it, don't get up and can't find it. Yeah. No water. Oh. So I can wear whatever I want, and what I end up wearing, whoopsies, I already did it. Whatever. What I ended up doing was somebody gave me a bunch of like athletic tank tops, and sorry, it's everywhere. Everything, it's awful. So I wear these like rainbow athletic tank tops all the time because I get really hot. Like lifting buckets all day is no joke. Those buckets are heavy. So Dr. Bob, my plan was so in beauty, like if you ever go get a facial by an esthetician, they wear these cute lab coats that are like a wrap. And that's one of my projects I want to do is I want to make one. I want to sew one. Okay. So then I could like have a lab coat on or like an undershirt and it'd be more professional. Because I'm sure when I'm interviewing people or when I get new people and I'm wearing like clothes that are completely covered in paint, I look a little crazy. But it is the job. And we're all a little mad here. Oh, I like that. We're just going to have to darken it in the middle. Oh, it's Valfera. Yeah, exactly. I do tell people because I had this guy for a while that was like, yeah, this person's really fast, but they got paint on my jacket. And I'm like, I hate that for you, but why are you bringing your jacket in here if you're worried it's going to get paint on it? I'm the worst. And not only, it's hard to tell on the scale, but when I was in design class, I had this guy sit across from me, and He was like, you know how like everybody has to take art classes? So this guy was like a model and he didn't take art seriously at all. And it was like the stereotypical, like, real hot guy comes into your class and all the girls want him to sit with them. And he sat with me. And I was thinking, and this is very judgy and it's very rude because we became pretty close. I said, hi, Edgerjai. I said, oh, great. The, the models coming to sit with me. But anyway, he sat across from me, and when I painted, I would get paint on him. I'm a very expressive painter, and I felt kind of bad. But this dude, for a final project, he painted Man Bear Pig from South Park, and he didn't finish it. And I split my time between theater and art. So he like texted me and he was like, "Hey, I didn't finish Man Bear Pig." I don't know if I should admit to this, but he came over to the theater side and I had to finish a like Man Bear Pig on a canvas. Like we're like painting real fast. Oh, I should hit him up and see if he still has that. I should try and buy that from him. Man Bear Pig. And a really nice guy. Like, know, I wouldn't judge somebody like that today, but at the time, I was like, I don't know. People can't help it if they're really attractive. People can't help their great bone structure and coloring. Oh, yeah, I remember I got some feathers. That was the class, and what's really interesting, that's what I'm thinking. It really, I'm going to have to hit him up. I'm sure he doesn't still have it. He can't be a hoarder like me. Uh, I can't throw away art. I have art that my old neighbor did that he didn't want, and I can't get rid of it. I like just can't. And then, yeah, jinx indeed. Um, Being that you work in the office and see them regularly, which of the ReaperCon banners is your favorite? So I actually have a banner in paint department that was signed by all the artists. So I think that's really cool. Other than that, anything Izzy does, I love. If you visit the game store, I don't know if they're ReaperCon banners, but if you visit the game store, there's these concept art banners. And I mean, they're gorgeous. And I met Izzy. I might have been like 12, and I knew I wanted to be an artist. And this is when Izzy worked at Reaper. This was at Louisville. And I went in and met Izzy. And I was just blown away. Kind of like in the way, I really feel this way about J. Scott Campbell. I love J. Scott Campbell's art. And I know a lot of people don't like the really like boobsy, small-waisted, whatever type. But I don't know. Good art is good art. And there must be something in the face. There must be something in the proportions, the way that Izzy and on the same kind of wavelength J. Scott Campbell do faces, but I just really love them. They light my heart up. If you put me in a functional MRI and showed me Izzy's concept art, something would light up. Makes me happy. So that's my answer. Me too, Lebralski. Okay, J. Scott Campbell's wife looks like he drew her up. It looks like he drew her on a piece of paper and she just came to life. She's so expressive and cute. Do you know who we're talking about, Justin?
No idea.
J. Scott Campbell, what did he do? Danger Girl. He's a comic book artist. And I love his work. Ron likes him too. Okay, so we dry brushed. Okay, Dr. Bob says what I finally realized about Izzy's work is that there are a lot of intersecting angles in the lines. Interesting. Thank you, Deely. Um, let's see. So I want to go deeper with that fire, but I also wanted to look at. Since we're like all over the place today, I'll grab it. Oh yeah, Danger Girl and Gen 13 are his big things, on top of variant cover arts for much bigger comics. He also does the art for like concept art for these sculptures. There have been these mermaid sculptures that are just like amazing. I love them. Let me grab this. And we're going to look at the color wheel. Hold on. Actually, we're going to look at the color star. So we will use this a lot because I love it. This is something my great grandmother was an artist, and this was in some of the things that I got from her that I didn't look at right away, but is super useful. So this is the okay. I don't know if I can gotta be able to get that all the way in. Okay. This is our color star. Okay. So, yeah, color star, she's a witch. By Johannes Itten. And, okay, so this is neat. It reminds me of the 90s because there was always like neat stuff like this. It reminds me of a Light Bright. So it tells us about this. And what I think happened was I think she took a class and they made these cutouts. So it's about color theory, and it's designed to enable one to visualize harmonic color chords of 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 tones. Each of the 12 colors of the star is accompanied by 2 light and 2 dark colors. This produces a wide variety of color chords. The color disc can be used on either their white or black side and rotate on the color star. Okay. This is really neat. This is a little too deep for us to go all the way into, but this is really, really, really neat. So let's say, and this might show me that whatever I've decided to do is wrong. So we're on red, orange. Oh, so what this would show me is if with 3 that we could do our red, orange, if I understand correctly, a red, orange, a yellow, green, and a blue, violet. So this would mean, if I'm looking at this, that we could put a blue, violet within that flame and it wouldn't be totally crazy. Dr. Bob, if my great-grandmother heard somebody talking about triadic contrast, thank you, heard somebody talking about somebody summoning demons with this thing, she'd roll over in her grave. So, okay, so that's triadic. So let's look at some of these other ones and see, and you can flip it over. So what it was saying is you have a black and a white side. Crispy's Live, this is 100% the truth. This is a color theory. It's a theory. You can do anything you want. It's just like music theory. I took guitar lessons and I practiced less than I read. And I had this guitar teacher, like one of mine retired, and I had this guitar teacher give me this article about how essentially everything was within music theory. No, she wasn't from Nolans. She was where was she born? She's a Texas girl. I know that. Went to SMU. So, okay, so this is a little different, and this actually might make more sense because, well, I mean, yeah, this one actually does make more sense. So this would be green, blue, orange, and red with the dark in there. I think this is closer to what we're doing. Yes, a good place to start reference, but not restriction by any means. Quadratic contrast. You need to know the rules so you can break them. That's a good point. So this is something I'm trying to learn because I've always done pencil art. Justin, you can hop in here. I know I'm really like pushing you out, but
Well, I mean, I'm watching. I'm listening to what you're saying.
I don't know
It's
that much, buddy.
pretty interesting, but
Okay, so this one's really cool. So this is the 6 part. The Rings Raccoon will tell me. I have a friend in Nolans, and to this day, there are communities where you do not joke about voodoo or witchcraft. It's still taken very seriously. Yeah. Oh, okay. The mighty Garrett Ball. You were wanting a bottle of something, and you talked about it on Reaper Live, right? Like you don't have to say it. I think it was you though. I was gonna tell you if you give a note to internet, I have that for you. So just put it next time you order something, put it in your notes. I think it was you because I have an extra one. But no, it's not in print anymore. So this one is the 6 part. Then we have the orange, red, orange, yellow, green, green, blue, violet, violet. It seems like too much. This reminds me of Maleficent. Whoopsies. Sorry I flipped you off. But that would mean that I could use blue, violet, and violet. See, I don't... Something about this... I guess because of the red, that's why. Because I was thinking, I don't see that violet working in there. And I think it's because I got the red in there. Boop, boop, boop. Cassie Fire Black Cat, why are you making that? If you're talking to me, I'm just kind of verifying that my color choices would work and playing. That's interesting. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the one that I really liked before because there's a bunch of these in here. We don't have to go through all of these. But we'll use this again because God, is this ever just neat. Okay, orange, red, blue, green. That's okay, spoons. That's okay. I too make lots of jokes. But yeah, my grandma's super, like, she would have been super freaked out by anything like that. My mom got custody of me when I was like 13, and my grandma was in court. She was my dad's grandmother. And my mom told me that she leaned over and she touched my mom's arm and she said, "I charge you with God." I don't even know what that means. She was like, "Do you think that was like a curse or like a blessing? What do you think she was doing?" And I was like,
well, after seeing this pattern, it was probably a curse.
yeah. Charge you with God. No, like I got this lady's Bible and she wrote in this thing so much that she had to have it rebound. Like she was a very devout woman. But anyway, that's my color star. If you guys have ever seen it in here, somebody commented on it on my first couple of episodes. That's what it is, and it's super useful, especially for me because I don't understand. I'm actually feeling like I must have an innate sense of of color harmony. I'm sure we all do.
Right, because I mean, there's always the aesthetic to the eye, right? If it's pleasing in some sort of, you know, way that just seems natural, then that's probably something that's not far off from what other people like as well. Yeah.
I'm just not confident in it, you know? I don't feel like one of those girls that's good at, one of those women that are good at, stuff like that. It's weird. Max Styles painting. It is. Oh, okay. So apparently it's made in Germany, and is this the publisher? Van Nostrand Reinhold. Oh, and apparently the elements of color and the art of color are books. Uh, but it's called The Color Star by Johannes Itten. Oh, look. Somebody found it on Amazon. I'm gonna have to. Really? Wow. Spoons, absolutely. Mini painting has changed the way I think about making paints. Absolutely, it makes a lot of things make sense. The biggest thing that changed the way I look at things was when when I made Oops All Berries, and it made clear. I made clear purple, but it didn't look exactly like I thought it should look. So I added a bunch of stuff to it to make it look. I think it's called the total mass of a color, and it's just the color layered over and over and over again to where it's totally opaque. That shows you one aspect of the color, but when you squish it out, it shows you like the undertones and all that. So anyway, I made it work, and Anne was like, "Oh my gosh, no, that's not what a clear is. Like that's not what a clear is for." And that was before I started painting, but that was about the funniest. That was when me and Sarah both made 3 gallons of clear purple and messed it up. Well, we didn't mess it up, but that's another story. It was a supply issue. Yeah, I remade breast cancer pink again. It is. They've got like 8, 9 gallons. Yeah, Casmania says you can go online to Peloton for the same thing. Yeah. Well, I think I got some of that purple as a freebie. I'm sure you did. It was during ReaperCon, and we were like, this story makes Anne seem like she's like some kind of paint department tyrant, but she's not. It's that Sarah and I both have anxiety. So Sarah and I both like are really, really hard on ourselves. We were quite the team. We're both really, really hard on ourselves and think everybody is mad at us and the whole anxiety thing. So we were like, oh shit, we just made 6 gallons of paint we don't need. And it wasn't that big a deal. But I was like, let's call it something cute. So I wrote Oops All Berries on mine, and hers was Oops More Berries. It was good times. It was cute. I'm trying to think. I want to try something weird. Yeah, on one of Anne's streams, somebody said, who was it? Was it Nomad Zeke? Somebody said, if you don't have bottles of breast cancer pink, do you even Reaper? And people were talking about how many they have. And I know some people, because like this is something we'll talk about real quick. Some people don't want any more breast cancer pink. If you don't, just let us know, and we won't give it to you. No list yet. But Casmania, what we're going to do, what Ed has given me permission to do is if there's a paint that's not available, I can show you how to get to that paint with other paints. So which isn't exactly the same, but it's the next best thing. Like 73, for example, I said this at the beginning. 9073 is something that's really, 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 really easy to get from something else. Uh, yeah, and Rings Raccoon says you can never have too much paint. Ed may one day cancel its production. I can tell you before I even got here that there was a huge cancellation. So some colors like, trying to think, like bruise purple. There's like dusky grape. There's all these colors. I wasn't planning on getting water into that, but whatever. That kind of looks like 90/20. Interesting. There are all these colors that have been discontinued in the past. Now, these might be a little different. Ed's gonna make a statement. I made a mess. I just made a mess. I didn't discover Reaper until around Christmas last year, so I don't have breast cancer pink as of yet. How do you get breast cancer pink? It is in, or should be in, every order in October. And we just make them until we don't. I think we make them until the end of the, maybe at the very end of the month we don't make any more because we don't want to end up with like a surplus of them and save them for the next year. Mostly because of the labels. The labels don't last as long. We are getting new labels, so it'll be really nice. This is Chum Red and Shark Bite. Somebody did, this made me feel so good. Somebody did a whole mini. I think they did the Pirate Sophie with all Brinewind colors, and it was really pretty. It made me feel like really, I would say like vindicated, but I'm the one that doubted myself. Nobody else. If anybody else doubted me, they kept it to themselves. Which, I don't know, I'm probably harder on myself than I need to be because Anne wouldn't have left this to me if she thought I was going to run it into the ground. Anne really cares about these paints and these colors. Ed said something one time about the colors, and I stood in front of them with my arms out like they were my children, and he was like, "Not you too." I was like, these are all my favorites. Yeah, I overuse product, Mighty Jabberwock. I really do. I need to get better about that. I'm wasteful. We don't want that. Somebody was saying on the Facebook that these bottles will last you forever. They really will if you're not wasteful like myself. My daughter has used most of my punk rock pink as well. You and my daughter, we probably have similar paint styles. Anybody new to the show, we started about a year ago, and I am a new painter. I've only ever painted like other things, never minis. Okay, Mighty Jabberwock was Gerard Ball. Anyway. Oh yeah, so I'm a beginner miniature painter. I started with the Learn to Paint Kit Core and Learn to Paint Kit Layer Up, and I think this is my first mini outside of those by myself, other than when we did the Australian fire benefit for the koalas. So I'm going really dark with this shadow, and I'm going to try and keep it really tight, and then kind of go in between those two colors and make that a little bigger, and then do a glaze. That might have been too dark for that area with all the green, but it's okay. It'll be crazy for a minute, but we'll get better. Might as well put my readers on. I've actually heard Katie. So Katie is an artist here, and she is one of the people that if you have a problem, will get your email. And she said that reading glasses really like improved her painting a lot, a lot, a lot. So that's my. I feel like I'm not in a position to give people tips, but since it's backed up by somebody else, readers really, really improve anything that you're doing. Like I do my acrylic nails, and um, I was a lot worse at it until I used readers. And I'll say this because other artists say it, you really don't need a tiny, tiny little brush. I'm just bad to my brushes. They don't have very good tips, and it's because I allow paint to get into the ferrule. In fact, oh my gosh, I dropped one of my brushes. I was testing the mateness of a color, and I dropped the brush into the bucket of paint. I was like, man, ruined. I hate that. What? I used to be able to move my contacts to one side and have natural magnification. I got laser surgery and now I have to use a jeweler's loupe. So my boyfriend does, I don't have anything of his up here, but he does what's called filicellos in glass, and he does nanophilas. So I'll have to show you a picture. I'll show you a picture toward the end when we get to talking. But it's these um, it's these line art, like concentric loops that make a almost flower type pattern, and then you fill it in, which makes it a filicello. But anyway, they're so small. I'm trying to think how small he's gotten. He has this kind of competition with this other glass blower. Maybe not competition, but like they collab and they make small things together. And I know that he's gotten small enough that you can put it on the little pushy part of a lighter. So he wears contacts because you have to wear protective glasses when you use the torch. It's bad for your eyes. So he wears contacts, and his eye doctor told him that yeah, the contacts counteract your they make your close-up vision worse, I guess, if it's normally okay. So um I think that's true because these glasses are a little strong for me if I'm not wearing contacts. Like if I'm just taking off one set of glasses and putting on these are a little strong for me. When I'm wearing my contacts, they're perfect. I really don't want a whole lot of this color. I feel like I'm ruining this whole thing, but I'm sure I can go back and dry brush. Oh no! Dr. Bob says it looks like the Phoenix had a really spicy chimichanga and is regretting his choices. Someone mentioned Bill and Ted earlier. I guess because we were talking about the origins of Reaper. Um, and I read last night that the new Bill and Ted is doing really well. And I was like, man, with people not going to theaters. But I guess they did a direct to video thing. Does anybody know anything about this? Justin, you're a film guy. Yeah, they did direct to streaming. Okay, cool.
I had not. Most of everything now is basically straight to streaming. Or what they'll do is they'll offer the rent price, but it's not really a rent price. It's like the purchase price, which I wasn't super thrilled with.
I was just talking about this earlier with my people, but I'm still living life like I'm living at home. Um, and I don't think about how much stuff costs. I'm about to have to start. I'm like Rachel at the beginning of Friends, but I'm not in a wedding dress. You Friends guy, Justin?
Uh, you want my honest opinion?
Sure.
I cannot stand that show.
It doesn't hold up as well, but I watched all of it with my mom. We really loved it. Those women were so thin. They
They
were
were very
so thin.
yes, yes, they were. I agree.
Do you know how thin they must have been in real life? And I grew up in the 90s. I love thin. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's fine when you're naturally that thin, but I know that in film and in modeling, a lot of people, I mean, it's their job. It's I was told in acting, it's your job to be neutral, and in this industry means thin enough that when you're on screen, you still look thin. So, um,
Okay.
that being said, some people naturally look like that, and I think it looks good. I just hope everybody's eating as much as they should. Oh, we don't have that anymore. Now everybody wants big butt. So I think they just get it lipoed. I think they just get fat and get lipoed or get the the stuff.
Oh, you don't want wait. As far as big butts go?
Injections or implants.
Oh,
It seems like
well,
all the celebrities get injections. I know they said it was
yeah,
illegal for a long time. I think it's
because it's
legal
the most
now.
dangerous. So,
Yes, it's the most dangerous plastic surgery.
'cause it can cause an embolism, right? Something like that. It's
Hmm.
basically it can end up the fat itself can end up in your like heart, and it could be really bad. I
My
actually
nurse
have.
friend
Uh, yeah, I
told
was gonna say.
me,
Go ahead.
sorry, about lipo. Because when I was younger, I was like, I'll just get lipo. And he was like, oh no, when I was in my, do nurses do residency? I don't know. When he was in his new nursing, there was a lady that came into to the ER, and that had happened. It nicked an artery and the fat got in, and it was like a, I don't remember what it's called. I don't think it might be an embolism.
Yeah, I think embolism has to do with your
Blood.
brain, so that's right. But
Well, it's a blood clot, but I don't think it means fat. I think that's something else. I can't understand why Gen Z loves kids love Friends. It must be the fantasy element because grad students and budding actors can afford that apartment in Manhattan. Embolism is a stroke.
my sister-in-law, my soon-to-be sister-in-law, she actually runs an office for a plastic surgeon. So she said it's incredibly dangerous, and um, she doesn't advise it for really anybody. In fact, I think she said the doctor she works for only does them if it's like a like a like a balancing thing, or like a I guess a cause. So if you end up having a surgery where they have to remove a chunk of your butt, right,
I
and you want
see.
to do it out like reconstructive.
I was about to say, like, if you're shaped like the letter P and you'll fall over, like I am when I'm thin. Uh, I'll tell you what, I don't know if this is, I mean, whatever, I have no shame. I think I'm going to get a breast reduction. I've been really looking at them for a long time, and it's not something I thought I wanted when I was younger, but now that I'm older, like, I just think I follow breast reduction on Reddit, and after women have them done, they are so happy. They're like buying these little bralettes with no support, no whatever. Um, you have to get down to like a really good weight for yourself first, but I'm into it. I think it's worth the risk. Spoon's aunt got a breast reduction, was a lot happier. My mom almost got a breast reduction in high school, getting real personal, but because she got so much attention from boys, she was like, my mom is super shy. So can you imagine being like in high school and having like a banging body and being shy? Like, but she was so shy. It's actually not even funny. She was so shy. She's like, I just don't want to deal with this. I want to, yeah, I did miss a tail feather. I might go back and do that right now. She was so shy that she was like, I'm either going to get a reduction or I'm going to drop out. And my mom dropped out. No shit. She dropped out because she got too much attention.
Oh,
Isn't that nuts? I mean, you could probably
yeah.
say it's something else. You could probably say that's an anxiety disorder to not be able to just be like, bruh. Who knows? But that's what she told me. Or that's actually what my grandma told me. I didn't even know they had those back then. Not that my mom's that old. That would have been in the 70s. I think that I think men get it as they get older. I won't put all men in a in a group like that, but I do know that my friend wanted some kind of augmentation, and her husband was always really worried about it until after they had kids. And then she was like, ah, Bobcat. She wanted straight A's and ended up with F's. Yeah, not all men, of course, not all men. Um, I like the whatever makes you happy men and women. I also don't like it when women don't like what men are doing with their, like, it's kind of an old trope, I guess, but the whole beard thing. Like, let people live. I think it's because they're insecure. If somebody's doing that, I think it's because they don't want you to change your body because they're thinking, why would you be changing your body? Are you trying to leave? There's memes like that. I don't know the name of the meme though. I need to know my meme. That and, I mean, I've had boyfriends that are like, it's not gonna matter, I'll still love you or whatever, but they don't realize just life can be uncomfortable. This is a very open painting platinum. Yeah, evil twin Mason. Weight loss surgery is a huge cause of divorce. I've heard that. I've heard that with drugs and I've heard that with weight. That if a couple is using drugs and one quits, that's a huge cause of divorce. And if a couple's overweight and loses weight or doesn't lose weight together, the key is together, I think. Changing together is positive. So I'm going to use, I don't know if you guys do this, but when sometimes I go back with white, and I made this special white. I don't know if you'll be able to tell on camera. So I made this because when I swatch colors, sometimes I want a white, and I tried to make a white with like cool, it's a really cool white. I don't know if you can tell, but it's like super cool. My husband and I are working on losing weight together. He's doing better than I am, but it's all about helping each other. My boyfriend and I gained weight together, but he has a really small frame. So he is like the biggest he can get, and he's in the 140s. So
Yeah,
I
he's tiny.
yeah, he is. He's skinny. So I'm so jealous. He was telling me he was going to go on keto, and I was like, "Will you just quit Dr. Pepper and get over yourself? I know it's going to fall off." Yeah, I'm going to go back over because the feather didn't do as I don't like what it did, so I'm going to go over it with white. I don't know if I should do that, but that's what I do on the wing that I swatch things on. So anyway, But yeah, so I have quite a bit more to lose than him. I think that's a women have a harder time. I think we gain weight more easily for some reason. We've evolved to we're weight gainers. Hold on to store store fat, store calories.
And that's like kind of a biological thing too, right? I mean,
I think so for some women. Like I said, I have a friend that's very naturally thin, and uh, I've seen a lot of shit she gets for being thin, and it makes me sad. Because I mean, not that there's not lots of societal pressure to be thin, but most of the time nobody's telling you you're fat. You know what I
that's
mean?
funny.
Most of the
That's
time nobody's like saying it to your face.
You know what's really funny, Sadie, I know
What?
we've talked about this in the past, is that when I was in incredibly good shape, like abs and everything,
Uh-huh.
um, 4 or 5 years ago, my family basically never, when we had get-togethers and stuff, never commented on the shape that I was in ever. Never got brought up. They never brought it up. But as soon as I put on 80 pounds, basically every time we have a family function, I get called fat in some capacity.
What?
I'm not joking. I wish that weren't true, but it is.
I have a cousin that said something about me gaining weight, but I think that she is very much like she wants to be the winner and she's winning and I'm happy for her. Like I know that sounds shitty, but like I just think that I just think that's her. Um but no,
No.
nobody says that. Now when I get thin, people are always like cuz I'm a small person. It doesn't come off. I think it's cuz I'm like pretty broad, but I'm like 5'2", and when I get thin, people always kind of worry about me. But I'm like, hey, you don't understand. Like, short people don't have that much, you know, space. We're small people. So, but I remember when I was a teenager, because I usually get thin when I get depressed. Usually when I'm happy, I was always chubby. Um, but I remember
Oh,
hearing
I completely
somebody,
agree.
yeah, I
Like,
remember hearing
my
somebody when I
mental
was on
health was
vacation.
bad when I was in really good shape. It was not good.
Yeah, me too. That was during our, what is it, group psychosis? Um, oh, the mic was blending with my shirt. Yeah, it's a big shoulder. Um, but yeah, I can get thin really fast when I'm depressed because I don't like to eat. But I remember being on vacation and my mom's sister-in-law at the time asking her, "Is she okay?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, she just gets really thin when she's depressed." Like my mom never, like I will brag on my mom for this. She never put a whole lot of pressure on me about my weight. She never, like I never heard her badmouth anybody's weight or her own weight, um or anything like that. So I don't have a lot of like, I mean, you can be like unhappy with your body or whatever, but I have a friend that her mom started calling her the strapping young child when she was a toddler, and it's because she had body image issues. So now this girl, she'll call herself like fat, and she's not. And I'm like, dude, don't say that in front of your daughter. Like she's gonna get such a complex. Like please, please, dear God, don't say that in front of your daughter. Um, yeah, these are my shoulder pads. I'm about to tackle somebody. My mom always tells me I'm too small, even when I'm 20 pounds heavier. Oh, moms. Well, I hate that they say that, Justin. You're just dad bodding.
I mean, oh no, no. In all honesty, I think I've far surpassed that bond. But
Oh, we're doing the
no,
weight loss challenge again.
we are, and I should capitalize on it genuinely. But I will say, this is a disclaimer too. I don't have any body image issues in that sense. Like
Good
it
for
does not.
you.
I do not. Right. So like when I have those interactions with my family, it does not. It is no more than skin deep. Does not bother me in any way. Because typically it's meant as some sort of harmless joking, which personally for me, I take it that way, and I have no problems with it. So it's really not a big issue for me. But all that being said, my health is definitely still important. So I agree, Sadie. I think that I need to try for the first time in my life lose 80 pounds, which I've done, by the way, like 3 separate times. I know that's not healthy, but lose 80 more pounds and actually try to keep it off this time without being in severe mental duress like it took last time. It took 2 breakups, ironically, with the same person to
Oh,
lose weight both times.
oh my gosh. Yeah,
So
I know how you feel. It's hard to
yeah.
do it in a relationship. You know, I had a big, I don't think it was body shaming as much as my cousin and her husband popped over the other day. Like, keyword popped over. They were hanging out with my uncle. I live with my uncle. And I was in my room. And when I got there, I'd just taken a shower. So I was just like laying around drying off. And my cousin knocked on my door and I was like, wait, don't come in. You know, I'm air drying. And I answered the door. I got dressed, answered the door. And she was like, you don't get to do that when you have kids. I'm like, well, I don't have kids. So I'm laying around air drying. So we're hanging out. We go out into the dining room and we're hanging out and I think her husband had been drinking, but as he was leaving, he was like, I just want to know what is it with you women refusing to put on a bra? And I was like, I'm in my home. Nobody told me you were coming over. I'm not going to be ashamed of being in my space the way I am. You can leave. I just laughed at him. I was like, whatever, dude. Let's imagine. I think he was drunk. So I wasn't gonna, but then I'm thinking, is he like, is he saying that to her around the house?
I will say I jokingly, and now mind you, this is a joke, and she knows this. I jokingly say that it's impossible once we're home for McKaylee to keep clothes on. She just is one of those people that as soon as she gets behind doors and she's comfortable, she's like a toddler. You just can't. She doesn't keep clothes on,
I'm like
and
that too.
it's I have no problem with it. But every time I'll turn around, I'll go, oh, okay, well, I guess we're just naked again.
You know what's
And
really funny? Go ahead, sorry.
oh, that's it. It's hilarious.
My grandma was like that. And my grandma told me this story about, okay, so my grandma always wore a sheet. Like my memories of her as a kid were like she'd get out of bed. I'm sure she slept naked, I don't know, but she'd wrap a sheet around herself and she'd have like a big bowl of cereal and she'd be eating it. And there's this story about how she was living, they called it a trailer court, which I think is so fancy. She's living in the trailer court, and her sister-in-law, who lives there too, comes by and says, "We're having a come as you are party. You've got to come as you are." And my grandma went to a party in a towel or in a sheet, and I do that too. I
That's
think now that my boyfriend has a different house and it's a little bit more like of a split layout, like used to, he lived in a house that was 3 bedrooms. They were all on one side, and you had to walk by his to go into the bathroom. He was always worried about. I've got these kitty shorts that are like real open, and he'd be like, "Please, with these kitty shorts, please," because I'll go to bed before him, and it's over. It's game over for everybody. And I was just like, tell them not to look if they're worried about it. I don't know. Like,
I will say it did there for a while, and it still kind of occasionally is. Um, this is kind of a secret too that I never answered Frank and Ann, but like because of the propensity for my fiance to never wear clothes, and I don't just mean underwear. I mean like we're talking birthday suit naked,
uh,
right? And basically, as a result, I have a webcam up, right? When you're using vMix, she's never been revealed. But the point being, because I stream and the nature of it, my webcam is always pointed at the wall because I never know when she's gonna forget about something and just walk into the room and just be naked like she does. So that's I know that
oh,
Frank often comments about why my was like, oh, your camera's pointed at the wall again, or it's pointed at the ceiling, and it's like, yeah, because I'll forget, she'll forget, and then it'll be an interesting conversation later.
My first date with James, I made him put his webcam away. I mean, this is kind of weird, but like I didn't know him that well. So I went to his house and was like, uh, she got that webcam there for. I had this realization, like because I met him at the glass blowing studio, and we just hit it off. So I went to his house and I realized like nobody knows I'm here. And he told me he lived in Denton and I live in Argyle. So I was like, oh, Denton, I'll just pop right in. He lived in North Denton, which feels like, I don't know, like the hills have eyes. You're far out there at North Denton. And, maybe not really hills have eyes, but yeah, so I was like, what's your webcam doing? He's like, I'm gonna unplug it. Like, don't worry about it. He unplugged it, but I do know that, his video game friends have heard more of my bullshit. Nothing dirty or anything, but just more of my bullshit than people need to.
That goes without saying these days. Yeah, that's 100% the same way it is here too. Like she is also, because she plays video games, she'll be in comms with someone, a group of her friends playing Counter Strike or something, and I will, because there's a few games that are capable of this. I will be amidst a particular um, vexing game of Escape from Tarkov, and I might slam my mouse or scream for a second, and she has definitely been on a mic before when I've screamed like that, and it's come through, and they didn't know what the hell was going on. But
Well,
Escape from Tarkov does that to you. Just
what?
Escape from Tarkov does that to you. It makes you get really angry for like a half a second.
Well, I'm usually not the one to call it, but we're well past 420 glaze it. So we're gonna do the giveaway. I'm gonna look up a raid unless you have one planned, and let's see. I wish we could name these in post. I think we would always come up with better descriptions of the show uh, if we named them after. I know it doesn't help for Twitch though. Getting naked was actually what I wanted to call my class. I loosely call it a class for ReaperCon. So, Val Under the Red Napping's my favorite.
Also, Sadie, not to be Debbie Downer here, but it is 4:30.
I just told you that.
Oh, I missed that because
Did you really?
Kaylee walked in. Sorry, she was talking to me.
Oh, I was like, I'm not usually the one that calls it, but it's well past 420 glaze it.
Nah, okay.
So
Yeah.
you go ahead. How many are we giving away?
Let's see here. Let me double check. 1, 2. We are giving away 5.
5 guys. Well, not well past. Yeah, fat and naked. That's right, Chef of Love. Somebody else.
Ready for what?
What?
Ready for the winners?
Yeah.
All right. Well, here they come. All right, we have 5 winners here. Our first winners are. I'll just go ahead and list them all out in the announcement chat. So,
Okay.
1. The Hatter 13, Sierra Fire, McKnight 25, Achilles Blade 2, and Vulture's Minis. Look at that.
Congrats, guys. You are going to get at least these 3. I might make a little pack for you guys. It just depends on how much time I have. Let's see. I'm trying to find a raid.
While you're doing that real quick, Holly, how was your stream last night? I did not get a chance to catch it. She did her 2-year anniversary stream last night. We promoted it on and show actually.
Did I tell you last time that Procreate sounds like a dirty program? Why would you call your
Oh,
program Procreate?
because double entendre. Because to create. I don't know.
Art, sculpting, painting, Apex, Lifeline, chill stream. This also says muted. I don't know if I want anybody muted. My people won't like muted. That's not what my people are about. Oh, who's this? Oh, he's in Portuguese. I won't I won't raid that guy, but only because somebody told me that it's better if people don't have to translate before they talk to people. Makes me sad though, because they were doing object source lighting. Oh, Inktober? I forgot about Inktober. I've never done it. Maybe I should do Inktober.
Sounds good to me.
Uh, let's do that one I was talking about. Maybe it's not muted, but I like her aesthetic and I liked what she was working on. It looked looked a little creepy. Now, it says sculpting and it also says painting, but it's Magitech, Magitek __ night, KNIGHT.
All right.
All right, guys. Yeah, it was a good show. All right. We love you, and we'll see you tonight at 6 for painting. Reaper Live. Painting Platinum 2. Reaper Live. All right. We love you. Be safe. Have
Thanks,
fun.
guys. Yes. Keep being awesome and stay tuned.